So this is the state's, I should probably get rid of my phone.
Everyone turn your iPhones off.
It looks very good with a sticker on the back. So this is State of the Word Utah edition. So much in, much like once a year there's a State of the Union address, we try to do a State of the Word. That's where it talks about where WordPress is, where we're going, what's coming up, and just in general, what's going on in our world. And it's actually super exciting. This is a pretty big crowd. I'm very impressed that y'all were able to pull so many people together. So the State of the Word is strong. To sort of allude to the presidential speeches. But basically, the overall thing is to say, well, what have we been doing for the past year? What has been going on in the WordPress project? So I've gathered a few stats, and these are up to the minute almost, sort of what's been the key metrics that we track in the WordPress community. So the first one is, as Joseph said, I'm Matt. The background is I was actually the co-founder of WordPress. It's now about a 5-year-old project. 3 years ago, I founded a company called Automatic to do some commercial side of WordPress, basically things that were hard to do as a nonprofit. For example, an anti-spam service, which is a Kismet, or a centralized hosted version of WordPress, which is WordPress.com. So that was about 3 years ago. But in the WordPress community, I'm going to be talking 99% about WordPress.org today. So how many WordPress.org users are here? Raise your hand. Okay, how many WordPress.com users? Okay, how many movable type users? Wow, tough crowd. I was actually a movable type user. I started out there, and I switched to a program called V2 Cafe Log, which was the predecessor to WordPress. And then that was sort of became the basis. That code became the basis of what was later WordPress. And from the very beginning, one of the things that was really important to us was user suggestions. We now formalize this. In the beginning, it was just really me talking to folks or setting up blogs for my friends. At the very, very start of WordPress, we had, I think, 5 developers and maybe 2 blogs running WordPress. So it was a little bit rough. I had to set up blogs for all of my friends just to get the first 5 or so WordPress blogs. That was very good because I was able to focus my friends around technical, so I was able to focus a lot on making it usable from the beginning. But nowadays what we do is we have an ideas forum, which is actually powered by BBPress. And what it does is it allows people in a dig-like system to suggest and vote on ideas. We've had now 931 of these in the past year that have been suggested and voted on, which is up from 713, which was in 2007. Commits. How many of you are familiar with source repositories and how source control works? A few. So actually that's a pretty good few. A smart crowd. Basically how it works is all the code in WordPress is just a background on that. All the code in WordPress is stored in a central place. And whenever someone makes a change to it, a developer makes a change, they do what's called commit the change to the repository. And they usually have a message. So they do a commit and it says, this adds comment threading. And it'll have all the code that adds that new feature. So it's somewhat of a good metric for the rate of change that's happening in the project. For us, in 2007, we did about 1,000 commits. And in 2008, we more than doubled that. Came close to tripling. So the development pace of WordPress has picked up actually quite a bit. Those of you who upgrade WordPress might have noticed we did actually 11 releases last year. I'm sorry about this. That's a lot of releases. Who gets tired of upgrading? Everyone, right? It's tough. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. This is going to get better in the coming year. We had 3 new core developers, Mark Jakewith, Peter Westwood, and Andrew Oz. We're now back up to our historical highs of 4 developers. In the very beginning of WordPress, there were like 5, went down to like 1, then 2. Now we're back up to 5 again. So that's sort of picking up. It's nice to not, partly as a result of me doing a lot more of the traveling and talking to WordCamps and stuff, I've been forced to, it's better for me to say, there's a lot of other folks who don't have to be a gateway for all this. Downloads are really interesting. So who can guess in 2007 how many downloads? Anyone have any ideas? About 2.8 million. But in 2008, that went to 11 million, 11.1 million downloads. And this is not counting, this is only people who download from the site. This is not counting anyone who installs it through a control panel or anyone on WordPress.com or anything like that. On WordPress.com, which is where we have some of our best stats because we host it all. So I can tell you exactly how much space they're using and everything like that. We had about 2.3 million blogs from one the year before. 35 million new posts. We're now doing about 4 million posts per month, or that's about a English Wikipedia and a half per month. Stuff being created. And 6.5 billion page views. And this is actually going up as well. We're now, this has actually about doubled. In the past 30 days, I believe we've done about 950 million page views. WordPress.com, and that, according to Google Analytics, is 230 million unique people. So it's a non-trivial portion of the internet now is going to a WordPress, at least a WordPress.com blog every month. And we're not even counting all the WordPress.org folks, which, as you will see, have an even bigger impact. What's spam? Anyone use a Kismet here? Anyone, tired of spam? There were 5 billion spams caught in the last month, or last year. And that number, I predict next year is going to triple or quadruple. Spam, nothing we're doing is making spam slow down. It's just getting cheaper and cheaper. But fortunately, the accuracy of the Kismet has stayed high. 3 nines, which is very hard to get to. And actually, historically, the system is now 3 years old. We are beating how email spam evolved, because there's a lot of parallels to how email spam works. And we're maintaining a higher accuracy rate than the traditional anti-spam system on the email side, like Spam Assassin and such. I want to do a public service announcement here, though. There's a type of spam that is now getting through a little bit more, and it's not because it's not being caught by Kismet, but you guys, some of you, maybe someone in this room, is approving it a lot. So spammers have gotten very clever. They figured out that bloggers love comments and love compliments. They're very smart. So who's ever got a comment where it's like, oh, great blog post. Oh, fantastic. If it's not from your mom, it might be a spam. And they're getting good at this. They're starting to do, spammers are now starting to copy previous comments. So if you get a comment on a really old post, it could be completely legitimate. It could be copied from another comment there, and they just change the URL. They're starting to extract things from the post title or from the post and actually insert those into the comments. And they're also just paying people in some third world country like $1 an hour to actually go and read your entry and leave a relevant comment. The only way you can know, and this kind of sucks, if you see something that's kind of borderline and a Kismet doesn't catch it, you really have to visit the URL. But of course that's a little bit dangerous, right? Because if you're not using Firefox, maybe you can own your computer or something like that. And also you can't just tell by looking at the URL, because I've totally seen it where it's like, they do some really bad stuff where it'll be like, so-and-so school.info or something's church.info, and it'll just redirect you to something really terrible. So definitely be careful, because although it's bad to visit those sites, it's even worse if people visit your site and then end up on one of those sites, right?